Cornerbacks with a topic after Ohio State's 7th preseason camp practice here at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center on Thursday. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com along with Andrew Gillis and Stephen Means. An intriguing group this year because cornerbacks have been lagging at Ohio State now for a couple years, frankly. Last year, some of it wasn't really their fault. A very injury-hampered room. Denzel Burke was hurt. Cam Brown, who's moved on, was hurt. Jordan Hancock was hurt. Everybody was hurt in that room. And even when they came back, it prevented them from being as good as they could. And for a long time, great cornerback play was essential to great defensive play here at Ohio State. So, Stephen, as you project what you expect out of this defense this year, is it fair to say this defense might only go as far as its cornerbacks can take it?
I think so. And, I mean, we've been talking about one of the cornerbacks going to be back to what we knew in the 2010s. And I do think that this is the best chance at it for where they are right now. I think they've got three guys in their room with whether what we've actually seen them do or how they've been talked about over the last couple of years have floors that are day 2 draft picks. And that's Denzel Burke, Davison Igbinosun, and Jordan Hancock. And I don't remember. 2016 is probably the last time where they had three guys, as Denzel Burke put it a bunch of times, they had dogs at cornerback, and they rotated three guys through 2 spots. And Denzel wouldn't go there with us. He said he knows how they're going to deploy these guys. He just didn't want to tell us at this moment. But they can do that with the talent they have in that room as long as it gets through fall camp, right? Because last year that was the thing. We thought they were going to take that step, and then Denzel Burke had all those injuries. Jordan Hancock had hurt his hamstring in fall camp, and it just hindered his entire season. So if these guys can get through fall camp, and there's been maybe a flip of a mindset, and as Denzel Burke put, dominating Marvin Harrison, dominating Emeka Egbuka, because if you can do that, there is nobody else in the Big Ten and nobody else in the country who's as good as what those two guys are going to give you on a daily basis. So if you can find a way to dominate those guys, not every time, but every so often, that's going to pay off when you're playing literally everybody else this season. So I do think this team's going to go as far as its corners are, and I think the corners will be a lot better than we've seen in recent years past, at least based off of what we're seeing right now.
We've talked a lot already about the defensive line, what we expect from potentially a deep rotation there, and JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer coming off the edge. But, Andrew, again, as you're kind of projecting out what you expect from this defense, we've seen some of that in recent years, and when it doesn't get paired with good cornerback play, it doesn't have the same impact. Do you think that's more realistic for this year, that you're going to have that sort of cohesive tandem between the pass rush and the coverage?
I think it's more realistic, but you need it. I think, if you don't have a pass rush, the corners could be great. You're not going to hang on for 6 seconds and vice versa. If the pass rush is really good, but the corners are great, quarterbacks are just going to get rid of the ball quick and you're in trouble. So you do need both of those things. I mean, frankly, I know we're talking about the corners. I would rather have a better defensive line than a secondary. I would rather have a better pass rush, guys that can stop the run, and then just kind of focus on the secondary. I would worry about that if that were the case. But I think there's a B right there. I think that wow, I'm really good at this. I think that when you talk about the secondaries, it can absolutely be better than last year. As Nathan or Steven runs away from a B, but I think that they can be better from last year. Again, it's going to have to be both. I'm going to have a hard time believing that the secondaries are going to be the best that they can be if the defensive line is not what you expect the defensive line to be. But for everything you hear and for everything you talk to people about, the defensive line should be pretty good, and that should mean that the secondary should kind of be a beneficiary of that as well.
Is the fourth member of our crew still here? Can I get his or her opinion?
Oh, my God, he won't go away.
For a minute.
So Jordan Hancock was saying some other interesting things today, and Tim Walton was going into it too. But Hancock, who they really missed last year, they talked all year about how much he would have meant to this secondary if he'd been able to play and if he'd been able to come back and be effective when he did come back. He's playing both corner and nickel right now, he says. Tim Walton, the cornerbacks coach, says that that's all part of just trying to find out how many people can do different things. They're still at that stage of camp. But it is interesting to think ahead to a place where maybe this defense is so multiple that it can use different guys at different spots and move guys around. We were just talking beforehand about, what if it's 3rd and long and you try this setup? And will Ohio State go that far with it? Because they don't usually. Usually it's guys who are pretty locked into their spots and they don't shift it around a whole lot in the back end. But you've got second year of a new coaching philosophy here, and maybe Jim Knowles talked in the spring or over the summer about being more open to playing more guys in the back end, and maybe that will also affect the cornerback room. But I also think that if you just found 3 guys or 3.5, 4, whatever you want to call it, and rotated him through 2 spots and just made those 2 spots the best 2 cornerback spots in the Big Ten, I think it is a huge step towards where this defense has been trying to get now for a few years, and maybe helps him get back to that as early this year. More talk about this on Buckeye Talk, wherever you can find podcasts, and get the text 614-350-3315. Get it before Friday morning, because we're going to watch a full practice Friday morning, and we'll be texting you the things that we see and hear from cleveland.com and Buckeye Talk.